The Dow Jones closed the day down nearly 800 points as surging oil prices stoke investor fears about the economic impact of the war. CBS News' Kelly O'Grady has more on what was driving the markets today.
It was another tough day on Wall Street. At one point, the Dow was down over 1,100 points. We were able to claw back a little bit of that damage, but still ended up near down 800 points. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ didn't get hit as bad. Both were down under 1%, but the Dow was really where you saw that pain. Now, what is driving this? You've heard me say this before. It is uncertainty, right? It sort of feels a little bit like groundhog because I've said it a year ago or so when we were looking at how tariffs were roiling the market. Now it is oil prices and the question of how long this conflict in Iran is going to last, as well as how wide scale it's going to be. So let me zero in on oil prices. If you think back to summer of 2022, we saw something similar with the Russia-Ukraine war. There was a crunch on oil supply and prices spiked above $100. Now the U.S. is less reliant on foreign oil than it was back then, but even so, the U.S. crude, it's called West Texas Intermediate, that's the oil index that we track. It popped over $80 at one point today. It ended just a hair under it, but really the highest that we've seen this going back to June of last year. And the reason why is, one, Iranian state media claimed that there was an oil tanker in the Gulf, in the Strait of Hormuz, that was attacked. And there's also this question of, even though there have been promises from the White House to commit to naval escorts of tankers, to commit to political risk insurance for shipping companies that do decide to move oil and gas through the Gulf, when is that going to happen? How practical? How is that completely going to be enforced when there is so much turmoil in the region? And so you really started to see investors, they were calmed by that commitment earlier this week, but oil traders started to feel more anxiety after that report from Iranian state media. And so going forward, what we expect is to see oil prices continue to tick up unless there is clear reason or clear understanding of how long this is going to go, how big it's going to be, and how safe that Strait of Hormuz is going to be. And the last thing that I will note is sort of driving all of this uncertainty is not just the transport of that oil and gas through the Strait of Hormuz, but also the production in the neighboring countries and regions like Qatar, like Saudi Arabia. The conflict continues to grow. And even if you are able to secure that and bring these different operations back online, that doesn't happen overnight. So investors, analysts, they are assessing the situation. They're betting that there may be higher inflation, even if just a little, depending on how long this lasts. And that's really why you saw the oil prices spike. And then that is what drove the sell-off in the market. Now, tomorrow is going to be another big day with a lot of uncertainty. We're also going to get that jobs report. Of course, also tends to be a big day for the market. So we're going to be watching. It could be a wild ride to end this week. I'll send it back to you.
Kelly O'Grady, thank you.